Welcome everybody to the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. Please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin, there is one adjournment on our agenda. It's application 22258. The property is located in West Babylon on Arnold Avenue. Is there anybody here on that application? Okay, the application is being adjourned to June the 22nd. First application tonight is application 23075 of Sabio Ventura, property located in North Babylon.
Hi, my name is Sabiel.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, my name is Sabiel Ventura for 3 Victoria Road in North Babylon.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated May 31st, 2023. Environmental control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Suffolk County Planning Memo dated May 26, 2023, decision of local determination, take no position for or against. Survey by, can't really read the signature on this, but it's dated 3/28/22. Tax map acting as an area map, and,
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure. So just to summarize, back in 2021, we applied for a permit to build a pool in the backyard of our property. The application was approved along with the plans that were submitted with it. Shortly after the approval, we started construction in November of 2021. Due to the lack of materials, construction took a little bit longer than anyone would like. Construction finished around February of 2022. When construction finished, we started working with the Building Development Department so that we can finalize the application and provide updated surveys. We submitted the surveys, and after maybe 8 or 9 different iterations of different things that they would like to see in the survey, we finally got the survey to a place where they were comfortable making a decision. The department then realized that they didn't account for lot coverage of our rear yard and denied our application and then asked us to come to zoning. In order to be conformance with the rear yard lot coverage of 45%, we actually ripped out a backyard, put in sod to try and get it closer from the 51% down to the 45% of allotted yard coverage for the backyard. We did some of that construction earlier this year, went back to the building department, submitted our updated application, to then be told we still can't be provided a certificate of occupancy because now our overall lot coverage is still over for the overall property. After several emails, discussions, conversations with Liz White, I forget everyone's name, it was Mr. McDonald, and then ultimately with Rick Schaefer, Rick was finally able to give us the most information in terms of what we needed in order to conform and go through the zoning process. So he encouraged us to submit the application. We did so, and that's why I'm here today. I'm looking at the memo that you guys provided right when I walked in, and there seems to be items listed here that haven't come up in the 1.5 years that I've been working on this. So, if you guys can enlighten me as to some of these new findings and supposed letters that you guys have sent, it would be helpful so that I can address those as well, because we've been trying to do the right thing now for almost 2 years to try and get the certificate of occupancy for our pool. But, I'll pause there, take any questions. If not, I'll pass it back to you, Mike.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Let me just start and ask you, was the sign posted?
It was.
Okay, you had it up for 10 days?
So we had it up for 10 days. There was some incremental weather, so we had to take it down and then put it back up. But it's been up there.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Now, have the issue, the latest issue anyhow, is the basement entrance.
Sure, so I'm happy to talk about it. The basement entrance was in there along with a wood patio when we purchased the home. When we submitted the survey for the application of the pool, when we discussed it with Liz White, she indicated that the basement entrance wasn't an issue. The deck also was an issue. All we'd have to do is take it to zoning. I see here that we supposedly got a letter on June 22nd. Never received such letter. I have emails as of June 22nd with Liz directly, never highlighting that the basement entrance was an issue.
That's June of last year.
That's right. If you guys could share the letter or a copy of it, happy to take a look at it. If you're willing to tell me what I need to do to get that back door in conformance, it's something that we inherited when we purchased the house, but happy to do whatever you guys need us to.
You need to go to the building department, file for permit, for the cellar entrance. Now, what about your shed?
Sure. So we installed the shed maybe 2.5 years ago, shortly before we put in the pool. It's a portable shed. It was never raised as an issue that was, not within 40 feet of the property line. We can move it. That's not a problem.
You'll agree to move it and put it in a conforming
We'll
location?
move it 40 feet back, keep it on the same side of the house. That's fine.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You get the decision in the mail. We'll try and get a hold of that letter for you, too, all right?
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next application is application 23068 of Josephine Lazara, property located in Deer Park.
Hi, good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Judith Bobby, 14 Sunny Lane, Bayshore, New York.
Your relationship to the applicant?
I am, the applicant is my mom.
Oh, okay.
I'm her
That's fine.
daughter and her power of attorney on.
For the record, we have a planning memo dated May 31st, 2023. Environmental control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Jason Lettingham dated March 13th, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, we have 12 photographs.
would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, my parents owned this house. It has since been sold, and there are new owners. I believe I submitted their sworn statements that I can act on their behalf. That should be in the folder.
Thank you.
So my parents built this sunroom, and I'm requesting a variance of the sunroom because it's too close to the property line, and there is a 6-inch roof overhang that needs to be approved also.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Caraccia.
Good evening. How long ago was that,
I was like a little girl when they did it, so it has to be like 50 years ago.
had they built that extension?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And the reason why you're here tonight is that the house is being sold? or-
Right, the house was sold, the proceeds of the home is needed to take care of my elderly mother who's in assisted living.
Okay. Have you read the planning board recommendations?
Yes.
That it not be, will you agree not to further have the sunroom heated?
Right, the sunroom is not heated.
Okay. All right.
It's a, a typical sunroom with windows open to let fresh air in.
This is it back here. No further questions, Mr. Chairman?
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 23-068 with the condition that the sunroom not be heated in the future.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application 23074 of Louis Giorgenti, property located in Copac. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Edward Butt from the firm Edward Paul Butt Architect at 499 Jericho Turnpike, Mineola, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated May 31st, 2023, environmental control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. You should be aware of tidal wetlands. You may need a permit for that. Suffolk County Planning memo dated May 26th, decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. a survey by Barrett, Barnucci, and Van Weel dated January 4th, 2023, tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, we have 11 photographs and a site plan by Edward Paul Butt dated April 5th, 2022.
would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, please, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm here this evening to explain our position on where we are with this home. Mr. Girgenti, who is the owner of the home, requested to do some work to the front of the house to alter the face of the house and have some sort of a covered portico at the front entrance to his home. We prepared plans for that to address the outside of the house, sort of a facelift with a covered portico, submitted plans to the building department, and received comments back on a denial letter explaining what we're here for this evening. The coverage for this property exceeds the amount that was here. Mr. Girgenti purchased this property in 2021, unknowing the coverage issue was even a problem. So we found that out when we submitted plans for construction. That's why we're here today. In evaluating the property, we, as you can see from the photos, that there is a significant amount of green space in the front of the house. Other than the driveway and a small walkway from the driveway, there really is very limited hard surface at the front of the house. To the left of the property, there's I believe, some sort of a park, which has a tremendous amount of green space and so on. The rear of the property has and was developed prior to the purchase of this property by Mr. Girgenti, and we don't believe that is an impact to the neighborhood, only because there really is no neighbors that have an opportunity to see this property from the rear. It faces the water, and there is an existing approved bulkhead on the property, so I don't believe we'll seek a letter of non-jurisdiction, but because it's an approved bulkhead at that location, it would not require any further approvals from the DEC. So we respectfully request relief for both the coverage issue, which we don't believe is an impact on the neighborhood or on the local community, and also the covered portico, which there is none right now, felt as a protection element. We are not extending our nonconformity any further than it currently is, but we just felt it would be an addition that would help the applicant enter and exit the premises when they use it. And that's really all I have for a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Dellavecchia.
So it's a beautiful property, definitely. When was the patio installed, along with the pool in 2005?
Mr. Girgenti?
Need your name and address for the record, please.
Louis Girgenti, 49 Shore Drive South, Copiague, New York.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I bought the house 2 years ago. I think it was done 2 owners ago, which would be, I think, 05. I'm not really sure.
Have you made any changes to the property since you've been there, besides the front facelift?
They have done some minor interior makeup work. but that's
Exterior, to the
exterior.
patio, pool?
Nothing.
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 Would you agree to not further enclose the front portico if we were to approve it?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 23-074 with the condition that the front portico not be further enclosed. Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Next application is application 23065 of Danny Lee, property located in Lindenhurst. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, good evening. 9 Kirkland Drive, Green Lawn, New York. Vincent Lucarelli. I'm representing Mrs. Lee as the architect.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated May 31st, 2023. Environmental Control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Dora Ann Tay, dated April 27, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, we have 13 photographs and a site plan by Vincent Lucarelli dated July 14, 2022.
would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure. So basically, the homeowner is requesting the variants that are stated in the letter so that they can modify their existing dwelling. So they're trying to get more space upstairs, as it's a cape. They're going to extend out, square off the walls. They're not extending out. Basically, they're going to extend directly over the existing first floor walls and go up. So as a result, the total additional square feet is going to be 325 square feet. So that's the second floor. They're going to have, they have 2 bedrooms currently. They're going to go to 3 bedrooms and maintain the 1 bath. There's an existing bath on the second floor currently. As far as the first floor, they're just going to do some interior renovations on the first floor. So there's no expansion at all on the first floor. So basically, they purchased the house. Yeah, about 7 years ago, and that there was some non-conforming items on the property which they weren't aware of. So we're looking to legalize some of the things that are on the property as well. So that's basically what we're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
Good evening. These 8 variances that you guys are seeking, did you guys see the planning memo?
Yes.
Okay. Variance number 8, planning is objecting the concrete being so, are you 2 feet off the property line with the concrete?
It's actually 0.3 feet off currently. That's where it exists today. It actually is close to the property line.
Now, was that there when they purchased the property? It was like that?
That was like that. That was like that when they purchased the property. They cleaned it up and fixed up the patio a bit because there were some cracks. They repaired it, but they inherited that condition.
Would your client be willing to cut it back to the 2 feet setback?
We spent
to
a
get
lot of money to redo it.
Oh, you got to come.
Oh, sorry. We spent
Name
a
and
lot.
address for the record.
Oh, 1045 North Green Avenue, Lindenhurst.
Okay, and your name?
Mary
And-
Lee.
Mary what?
Lee.
Lee, okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We spent a lot of money to redo the patio, and it wasn't that long ago. So maybe about 5 years ago. So I don't know if my husband would agree to, now redo something else that is pretty new, a new repair. So will it not get approved if we don't do that?
Well, the code is to be 2 feet off the property line. So you got, if you purchase the property like that, it shouldn't be. Somebody should have picked that up, that you're encroaching on the property line.
Yeah. We've just fixed what was there, so I don't know if it's really something we can do. Oh, yeah.
Can we discuss this for 1 second?
That's fine. And I just have another issue here with the shed being so close. Now, in the pictures submitted, I noticed that it's on cinder blocks. Doesn't look like it's on a permanent structure. Would you be willing to move that shed off the property line?
So I think there was an existing foundation there, or existing pad.
Doesn't look
There was an
Yeah.
existing pad in the location where the shed was installed.
And it's raised off that? Because in the pictures, it looks like it's sitting on cinder block.
Yeah, it's raised up a little bit.
It's raised, but is there a pad below it?
There's a pad
There's a
below.
pad below it, and that's why they put it in that location. There was probably a previous shed there, although it was probably not, obviously not in the right
Now, I
location.
also noticed in the pictures there's electric going to that shed. Did you guys put the electric in the shed, or was it purchased with electric in the shed already?
The electric was done after, we put the shed in then and added electric.
Okay. By rights, you shouldn't have electric in the shed. What's in the shed? Just,
Nothing like the lawnmower, totes,
so
furniture, like from
So storage use only, but what is the reason for the electric in the shed?
To put a light on the outside of it.
Um,
Would you agree if we were to approve this, if the shed was to be replaced, if it becomes in disrepair, that it would be rebuilt in a legal location?
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Would you agree that if we were to approve this application, that the shed, if it ever has to come down due to disrepair, that it be put in a legal location? That would be a condition.
Yes, yes, we would agree to that.
And the front porch, you guys are coming out with the front porch, right? You guys are adding a little porch on this?
No, that's
No
existing.
porch line?
No,
There's nothing?
That's
no-
existing, no porch line.
So just going straight up with the house with a
Yeah.
dormer, there's nothing else being constructed on the property?
No, that's it, just the dormers going up, straight up, squaring it off.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I got no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next application is application 23069 of Dingle Bay Enterprises LTD, property located in Wheatley Heights.
Chairman, members of the board, for the applicant, Joseph F. Bazell, the firm is Bazell, Blanda, Visconti, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated May 31st, 2023. Environmental control memo dated May 5th, 2023. There's a few things here, limit to single-family use. So you have a copy of that, Mr. Bazell, I'm sure?
I do.
Survey by Angelo Soria? Sarica? February 14th, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, there's 3 photographs in the site plan by Robert James Higgins dated March 3rd, 2023.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
Yeah. Initially, in light of the comments raised in the planning department memo, my client is doing a couple things. Number one, we will reduce the height of the garage door to 7 feet. Secondly, regarding the issue of the Bilco doors in the rear yard, I have amended plans I'll turn up in a moment. We have shifted those Bilco doors to the north side yard. The side yard requirement in Res A is 15 feet with a total side yard requirement of 35 feet. There is 15 feet on the south side, that's untouched. On the north side, there's 27. The Bilco door entrance is 7 feet. So by swinging it around into the north side yard, we have 20 feet to the Bilco door, which gives us a total of 35. And I have revised surveys and revised house plans. The application concerns variance relief related to constructing a new single-family home on a 100 by 100-foot parcel. It is on the east side of North 23rd Street, 600 feet south of Lee Avenue in Wheatley Heights, 100 foot of frontage, 100 foot of depth, 10,000 square feet, which is one of the largest substandard lots I've ever done in the town of Babylon. It's level and grade, no wetlands, utilities readily available. The lot was created in 1892 by the filing of the map of Wyandanch Springs Improvement Company. The lot is vacant, though apparently there was a variance granted in '61, but the house was never built. The property is zoned Residence A. Residence A is based on a lot 100 feet wide by 125 feet in depth, which presumes a street-to-street distance of 250 feet. There's virtually none of that in the town of Babylon. The map filed in 1892 established a street-to-street distance here of 200 feet with all lots 100 feet in depth. There are no homes across North 23rd. Directly across the street is the Wheatley Gardens multiple residence complex. Slightly to the north of that, so diagonally north across the street, is the Gus Wade Nursery. There are homes on the east side of the street where the subject is located. Immediately south of us, there's a 100 by 100 foot lot. Then the rear portion of a lot where the house faces Conklin Street. 5 of the 8 other lots on the east side of North 23rd are 100 by 100. Of the other 3, 1 is at the corner of and faces Main. 2 are street-to-street lots that run from North 23rd to the street going to the east. They have never been divided because of health department regulations. We're not sewered. So of all the homes which face North 23rd, 100% are the same size as the subject. 100 by 100 is rare in Babylon as a substandard lot. This area is Residence A on paper, but not in actuality. The Residence A overlaid a map from the 1800s. Res A presumes 100 by 100 1/4, which means you'd have 25 feet more of depth to play with. The map and the neighborhood don't reflect those conditions. So, and while Residence B also presumes 125 feet of depth, if the lot's 100 feet, you can reduce the rear yard setback in Res B. The front yard and rear yard in variances reflect the fact that this is A on paper, but effectively a B lot in actuality. The front yard requirement is also similar to the other houses that are on North 23rd. In fact, I think they're actually closer. And the 32.8 is to the front of the stoop. The wall of the house is 35 feet. The rear yard requirement is 40. There's no ability to reduce to 100 feet like in B. We provide 30.5. If you look at what the Babylon Code would establish for a 100 by 100 foot lot, we have 32.8 where 30 would be acceptable, 35 where 25 would be acceptable. The side yards, as I indicated, on the south side, 15 feet meets the requirement. On the north side, it's 27 feet to the house, 20 feet to the Bilko entrance, which also meets the requirement. Building area is another odd feature of Residence A. There was a strange code amendment in 1985. The 15% building area only applies to 2-story homes. If you're a 1-story home, you can go to 30. In Res B, it's 20% as a limit, whether you're 1-story or 2-story. But there was a push to build 1-story houses in Res A in '85. I believe it had to do with Copeg Harbor. But if you had a 1-story house, you could make it 50% bigger than what we're proposing, though you'd still have the other yardage issues on paper. So if you said what would be allowable for a Res B, for a 100 by 100 foot lot in the town, it would be 20%, and we're actually under that. I think the variances are in character with the neighborhood. This is a positive development of this property. I've spoken to my client about the covenants and restrictions and conditions, and there is acceptance to all of them. The variances are the result of applying code restrictions designed for a lot 25 foot deeper to this particular parcel, and we will make the garage door 7 feet in height.
Okay, thank you. All right, so you're going to move the Bilko doors around to the side. That's going to eliminate the situation with the rear yard.
Correct.
And the height of the door for the garage is going to be 7, which eliminates that. You agree to all the covenants and restrictions and conditions?
Correct.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Okay, we're going to close the hearing, reserve decision. We just want to go over the plans again with the
Yeah,
change of that.
that's understandable, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
File? The one the one he sent, the new one. Take what you want. Next application is application 23071 of Autotech Automotive LTD, doing business as the motorcycle shop, property located in Deer Park. Oh, you're here. Name and address for the record.
Mark Meyer, 1 Kate Circle, Middle Island, New York.
Okay, and you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated June 5th, 2023. They got 25. Environmental control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Fire marshal's report dated June 8th, 2023 has a valid permit. A survey by Jerome Demaro dated last dated October 27th, 2015. Tax map acting as an area map. This is another survey by Jerome Demaro, this one was dated August 27th, 1992. And,
Chairman, we have 4 photographs.
would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, I've been in business in that building for 20 years. I've never had any complaints. It's a motorcycle shop. I do repairs, and I sell motorcycles and cars. And like I said, I've never had any complaints. I've been in the same building for over 20 years.
Good. Thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Correcchia.
Good evening. Same hours of operation? Open Sundays or just?
No, Sundays and Mondays were closed. I'm 61 years old this year, so
God bless
got to
you.
slow it down. Yeah, we were closed for a year for COVID, so we lost all our employees to COVID. So unfortunately, I'm the only one left.
Okay. As far as storage goes for,
Everything's inside.
everything's inside?
Yeah, we have nothing else.
55-gallon drum storage or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so same hours of operation, same operation you've been doing for the past 22
Yes,
years?
20 years in that building and 20 years out in Lindenhurst too. So 40 years.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 23-071.
Excuse me.
Yes,
I would
sir.
like to ask if I could get a 5-year permit. We really need some extra time this time because of the COVID and everything that happened. We're really low on funds, and it'd be great if I could get a 5. I've been asking for 5 years for 20 years, so it wouldn't be right if I didn't ask again.
Okay, 1 minute. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve application 23-071 for a period of 5 years.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work with the shop.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nice
Have a nice
shop,
night.
by the way.
Thank you.
Next application is application 23067 of PetSmart, Inc., and also application 23059, both of PetSmart, Inc.
Good evening. Bram Weber, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York, for the applicant. So 2 renewals of a previously approved sign variance as well as a special exception for a pet shop for PetSmart. We're here for our first renewal. This is at the Sunset Plaza Shopping Center. This property was recently before the town for a Voodoo Crab restaurant, which is currently under construction. No complaints, no violations. And same up. Go ahead.
Let me read this stuff into the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated May 31st, 2023, and that's on application 23067. We also have an approval from the application number is 17014, and that was approved on March 2nd, 2017, for a period of 5 years. Environmental control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If the application is approved, no improvements. We got fire marshal on this now. Suffolk County Planning memo dated May 26, 2023. Decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. We have fire marshal on this application dated June 8, 2023. No violations. There is a survey by William Whipple dated March 17, 2022. A site plan by Bowler Engineering, last dated May 24, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map. On application 23059, which is for the signs, we have a Planning Division memo dated May 31st, 2023. Environmental control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A site plan, again by Bowler Engineering, dated October 24th, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map. And?
Chairman, 8 photographs.
Okay, we're good.
Thank you, sorry about that. So as I was saying, so this is a renewal of the PetSmart sign and special exception for a pet shop. Same operation as originally approved, complies with the original conditions of approval, which are restated in the planning staff memo. It's a retail store. There's pet grooming. There's indoor dog training, not exterior, indoor only. There's a specific training area that people can sign up to have their dogs trained. And they're working with a local not-for-profit 501c3 organization on cat adoptions. It's a rescue operation, and they have cat adoptions at the store and the retail operation. And as I was saying before, also the site has been previously before the town within the past year for the Voodoo Crab approvals, and we had no issues or violations at that time, and my understanding is we continue to operate in full compliance with the town code.
Okay. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
We did give you 5 years the last time.
Yes.
You're late.
Yes, so I'm happy to explain that. So originally, my charge was the sign, to renew the sign. So and PetSmart was going to do its own renewal. I thought I would be smart, and instead of submitting sign plans, I'd submit pictures of the sign itself. That wasn't acceptable, so we had to go back and get new sign plans done. In the interim time, PetSmart and First Washington, who's the property owner, didn't realize that no one was actually doing the special exception renewal. So then they turned to me and asked me if I could do it. I said, sure, I'm already doing the sign renewal. Let me combine it as one application. Second mistake, brought that into the town, tried to file one application for both renewals, was asked to please separate it into 2 applications. Separated it in 2 applications, and here we are months later.
Okay, and one other item that we have here is sorry. When we approved this the last time, we asked for a floor plan where the animals were going to be kept, and we never received it.
Never received a floor plan, okay. I know that there was a comment for the sign approval to get another sign plan. I did not note the floor plan, but happy to provide that.
We're going to need that.
Sure.
Where
no-
the animals are kept, you know, as many details as you can provide.
Absolutely. The only animals that are there, in addition to fish, are the cats that are part of this adoption group that are there.
No dogs?
No dogs. No, it's cat adoption only, tender loving cats.
They're kept overnight?
They are kept overnight.
Okay. All right, we're going to need that.
Sure, no problem.
At the time of the last approval, if
you want an updated floor plan?
If it's the same, you can submit the same. If
Okay.
if you need an updated.
No problem.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Just for the board's record, we did receive the sign plan. It does stay the same at the height, requested height from last time. So planning has no objections.
So that's signed plan, okay. So, would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none? Okay, so I guess we can approve. We can approve the sign? Yeah, we'll approve the sign.
You want it?
Approve the sign.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 23059 for a period of 5 years.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we're going to close and reserve decision on the other application, 23067, waiting the floor plans.
Pending on floor plan, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next application is application 23073 of Paranod Auto Collision Centers, property located in Lindenhurst. Why is this such a big deal?
Definitely find out when Mrs. Calabash is.
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to. Oh.
Oh, jumping Yemeni.
Name and address for the record?
Bram Weber, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York, for the applicant.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated June 5th, 2023. Let's see what else we got here. Environmental Control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Fire Marshal's report dated June 8th, 2023. You have a copy of this? There's like a number of things that need to be worked on.
Which report, I'm sorry?
Fire Marshal.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Actually, there's two Fire Marshals report.
Two buildings.
Oh, it's two buildings, so one for 19 and one for 21. And they both have some things that need to be
And
worked
fire
on.
sprinklers, fire suppression,
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw that.
Okay.
Yep.
So emergency lighting, exterior. All right, you have copies of those, or not?
If I can be provided with copies, great. If not, I've seen the comment letters from the fire
Okay.
marshal, but,
I mean,
okay.
okay. Suffolk County Planning memo dated May 26, 2023. Decision of local determination, take no position for or against. A survey by Jonathan Schmidt dated March 30th, 2022. A set of plans by Joseph Deal, last dated February 14th, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, there's 4 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you. So again, Bram Weber for the applicant. I'm joined by TJ Wilkinson from Bowler Engineering, who's our project engineer, who will speak to the site-specific matters and explain the dimensional variances that were required. We're also joined by Tyson Dispennet, who's the Senior Director of Strategic Operations from MACO. He's come in from Charlotte, North Carolina for tonight's hearing, because we'd like to be able to answer every question we possibly can about the operations proposed for the site. And there's Manisha Parand, who is will be the owner and operator of this location. We're also joined by Elizabeth Torres, who's the the project architect, who's also here to answer any questions from an architectural perspective. But I'll be providing testimony. TJ Wilkinson will be providing testimony, as will Tyson Disbennett on behalf of Mako. The applicant is here tonight for a special permit for a public garage, a use that's existed on this site since 1977. The setback variances are also existing conditions. These facts go directly to the standards under 267 of town law. The issues that impact the neighborhood were established a long time ago by zoning of the property for use as a public garage on a state road in an area of varied commercial uses. Now, in this case, we have an opportunity to clean the property up, improve its physical nature, and utilize modern site planning techniques along with covenants to enhance its look today and ensure proper usage into the future. And to that point, this property was subject to a public hearing and received site plan approval on April 17th, 2023 from the Town Planning Board. There is a specific CNR requirement that the outdoor storage of vehicles be limited to the areas as designated on the approved site plan, and as well as a requirement that there be strict compliance with all New York State DEC, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, EPA, NESHAP, which is a National Air Emission Standards, OSHA, the NFPA, which is National Fire Protection Association, and ANSI and ASHRAE, which are engineering societies for clean air and building quality. I have a number of exhibits to hand up. I'll go one by one if I could. So this first set of exhibits is descriptive of the proposed site plan, as well as a floor plan and some existing condition pictures and the proposed renderings. I want to state that there was a SECRA negative declaration, which was recommended by the Town Department of Environmental Control. Planning Board approved it at the time of the April site plan approval, with the following statements: that the development will not adversely impact groundwater, the project site does not contain any sensitive environmental resources, the proposal will not create a significant increase in traffic, and the proposed use of the site, most importantly the spray painting, shall be in conformance with New York State DEC regulations, including but not limited to spray booth best management practices, the use, generation, storage, and disposal of regulated chemicals, and shall be in conformance with New York State DEC and Suffolk County Department of Health Services regulations. So that is in the negative declaration approved by the Planning Board. Now, Exhibit 2, which is a real estate expert report from John Breslin, who's recognized as a real estate expert throughout Long Island. You can see his qualifications on the last page of the report. He could not be here tonight, unfortunately. He has taken ill, and ill enough that he can't actually appear. But he has prepared the report, which I'm now submitting for the record. I'd like to read just briefly from the report. The subject property is presently 2 separate parcels, which also will help describe the project itself. The subject property is presently 2 separate parcels, each improved with buildings used as body shops. The applicant's plan and proposal is to demolish one of the buildings and redo the other building and enlarge it so it can accommodate the newest environmentally safe technology, including spray booths. The applicant is before the board for a special permit to operate a public garage. The public garage use has been on the property for many years. The granting of the special permit is consistent with the existing condition. The other required reliefs are setback variances. The front yard setback to the existing building, which will remain and be retrofitted, is 25.8 feet. The minimal rear yard on that same building is required to be 50 feet and is proposed at 10 feet, which is an improvement over the existing condition, which is 3 feet. In summary, the applicant's proposal for the special permit and setback variances are the same or better than existing conditions. The subject site, the block front parcel between 44th Street and 45th Street and Sunrise Highway, is a major state highway. The uses nearby include restaurants, gasoline stations, and convenience stores, along with a fence company and a vacant building on the opposite corner of 45th Street. 44th Street from the corner east is residential, and 45th from the corner east is residential. In the redevelopment such as this, there is an opportunity to make the property better. The factors and conditions that impact real property values in the immediate area are already existing, having been established by the zoning and the state roadway. Over time, municipalities and applicants have learned better techniques to mitigate impacts of commercial uses on the residential neighbors. In the site plan design, these factors were included, including dark sky compliant lighting, fencing, plantings, and covenants to run with the land, which provide assurances the owner and the user will manage the property in a safe, cleaner, and more friendly manner. These are significant upgrades to the existing condition. In analyzing the requisite for the variances under town law, there will be no undesirable change in the neighborhood. The use is the same as previously existed. It is our belief that the new version will be cleaner and better maintained. And if you look at pages 7 to 17 of that report, you will see the existing conditions. These pictures were taken earlier this week. They are current, and you will see the current operations at the property. And we can contrast that to the proposed site plan, as well as the renderings for the actual building itself. But as you can see from the use of the property, there are two separate auto repair businesses there, as well as currently the sale of used cars. That use is being eliminated. So overall, we're presenting a cleaner, more modern, more orderly operation with fewer overall impacts and the removal of a use that's currently there now, which is the sale of used cars. I just want to submit a hand up just for the record, just my remaining exhibits. So what we did subsequent to the planning board hearing is that we submitted to that record, I'm submitting again for the record here, scientific reports. The first report is a team safety report. Team Safety is a third-party company that Manesia, in operating this site, will contract with, who will oversee compliance and the safety and consistency with safety regulations at the property. That's going to be Exhibit 3. Exhibit 4 is a inspection and testing and evaluation of the spray booth. And Exhibit 5 is the inspection, testing, and evaluation of the paint mixing room. These are reports that were submitted to the planning board to support the site plan approval, and I'm going to submit them again here for the record. Exhibits 3, 4, and 5. And one last exhibit, which I only have one copy of. It's not necessary for everybody to read it, although they're certainly welcome to. It's the site history with the approvals going back to 1977. As I said, this is a public garage. It's been so since 1977. There are covenants and restrictions on the property, the most recent being 1997. So as I said, part of this theme is that we are modernizing. The town is considerably improved and made more detailed its covenants and restrictions. So there'll be new sets of covenant restrictions on this property in connections with this approval if it comes from the Zoning Board of Appeals and as required by the Planning Board as part of its site plan approval. So I have all of the approvals and previously issued variances for the property for the record since 1977 as a public garage. So if the board would like, I'd like to have TJ describe the site, unless there are any questions at this time.
Name and address for the record, please.
TJ Wilkinson from Bowler Engineering, 275 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is TJ Wilkinson. I'm an assistant project manager at Bowler and a licensed professional engineer in the state of New York. As Mr. Weber mentioned, the site is currently operated by two separate auto body uses. The existing developments each have 3 curb cuts with no cross access between them. In total, there are 3 curb cuts on Sunrise Highway, 2 on 44th Street to the south, and 1 on 45th Street to the north. Each building currently has its own dumpster as well. which are unscreened and adjacent to the eastern residential properties. The proposed development, which I'll now walk through and can be seen on the board to my left as well, is proposing to demolish the northern building and add a 4,933 square foot expansion to the southern building. The site will now be occupied by a single operation and 8,143 square foot Mako auto body and paint shop. The site will be improved with new pavement, curbs, ADA accessibility, drainage, fire sprinklers, dark skies compliant lighting, and landscaping. Most of the parking will be located in the southwest area of the site, near the office entrance. The north side of the site will be gated, fenced, and screened for the storage of in-service vehicles. 14 parking stalls are proposed, with an additional 8 inside the gated area. 4 curb cuts will be closed as part of this application, and 2 will be repurposed, one on Sunrise Highway and one on 44th Street. Sunrise Highway will be reduced from 3 driveways to 1, 44th Street from 2 to 1, and 45th Street will no longer have vehicular access. The consolidation of the site and driveways will provide a significant traffic circulation upgrade from the existing conditions. In addition, new ADA-compliant sidewalk and ramps will be provided on all 3 street frontages, and new curb and asphalt shoulders will also be provided on the town frontages of 44th and 45th Streets. As Mr. Weber touched on regarding our requested setback variances, the existing building to remain has a setback of 23.6 feet from Sunrise Highway, and the proposed expansion of that building will have a minimum setback of 25.8 feet from Sunrise Highway, greater than the existing condition. Additionally, the building setback expansion will have a setback, a minimum of 10 feet from the adjacent residential properties, which matches the existing building to remain. The building to be demolished currently sits as close as 3.2 feet to those existing adjacent residential properties. We are proposing 41 6 to 7 foot high arborvitaes along the eastern property lines, along all those residential properties, along with a 6 foot high chain link fence with slats for additional screening for the neighbors. New shielded dark skies compliant lighting is proposed as well, with a maximum 15 foot height. This means that no light from our site will spill into neighboring properties. New subsurface drainage is also proposed, complying with town requirements, along with a new fire sprinkler service to add sprinkler protection to the building, which does not exist today. I'd also like to add that we heard the concerns of the adjacent residents at the planning board hearing, and we took a hard look at our proposal for opportunities to improve. And the site plan that we're actually presenting tonight has relocated the overhead door that was previously on the top eastern wall of the building expansion to the north wall, so that there are no longer any overhead doors facing directly to the adjacent residents. That concludes my presentation. I'll open to any questions the board may have.
Nope. You're going to replace all the sidewalks? I'm looking at some of these pictures, and the sidewalks and curbs are pretty beat up. You're going to replace all of that, right?
Correct. So
all the
in
way around?
44th and 45th Street, the curbs and sidewalk will be replaced. On Sunrise Highway, all the sidewalk will be replaced. The curbs will just be modified in certain areas where driveways are being closed.
Okay, thank you.
What's the proposed height on this building, on this?
The expansion will be a maximum of, I believe, 19 feet 6 inches. It will be under 20 feet.
No further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I thought it'd be important for the board to hear just from Tyson. He can, again, he flew in from North Carolina, so I'd give him a couple of minutes of testimony here. But he, as I said, he's senior director at the company, and thought he'd provide just a brief description of the operation of Mako and as a company, and you know, how their facilities operate.
Did you name and address for the record?
Hi, good evening. Tyson DeSpinett, 440 South Church Street, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
What would you like to tell us?
Mako's been in business since 1972. We're celebrating our 51st year in existence. We have over 400 locations between the U.S. and Canada currently. We specialize in light collision work and auto painting. So if you consider the larger, you see the heavier collision, the really damaged vehicles, that's something that we're really not interested in having. We don't want fluids being leaked all over the shop. We don't want oil everywhere. That is damaging to our paint jobs. Safety, ironically, safety within the shop and outside the shop also translates to the quality of the work that we're able to provide. So proper booth efficiency, proper ventilation, proper filtration leads to better quality for our paint jobs and our work to satisfy our customers. We service a number of retail customers, individual customers, but also we have partnerships across the country with several of the companies that everyone in here trusts to bring packages to their house, and also to put their cars or put their family in rental cars on the roads with Enterprise, Hertz, Avis, all the major rental car companies. So across between that, we have standards to uphold to those customers, and we do that through quality, training, and facilities. There are regular visits from our operations team that's in the field, and there are evaluations of the site, appearance, again, training, equipment, understanding, partnerships with team safety, partnerships with Safety-Kleen for proper disposal of waste, and we take that very seriously. Our image and our appearance and image across the country should be no different here as it is in Dallas, Texas. We uphold everybody to the same standards, and failure to do that not only would have implications from everyone in this room, but also from us all the way up to license termination if they are not maintaining the standards of Mako. So with that said, I'll answer any questions about our operation, but again, light collision, we're not interested in doing a ton of heavy hits.
Could you just explain the air makeup system and the filtration system? Because I'm sure a lot of people are concerned about the fumes and the odors from the paint booths, how that's recirculated and purified to go out to the atmosphere.
Correct. Yeah, so that involves, again, proper maintenance of the booth filtration system, the air makeup, so it's filtered coming in, filtered going out. And we require those filters to be changed on a regular basis, depending on, usage of the paint booth. But there should be we shouldn't be smelling anything coming out of the paint booth.
So do you guys have a mechanic on site that's going to be doing these maintenance routines daily, weekly, whatever it takes?
So we do have maintenance boards that go on each piece of equipment, whether it be the compressor, whether it be the paint mixing room, whether it be the filters. We do have procedures for that, but in addition to that, the folks that install the booth, that's typically a contract where they have an annual maintenance schedule for that to do heavier cleaning of the inside of the stacks, but.
So that's contracted out. There's nobody on this site that's going to be doing that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that should be part of our daily routine to check, the filters and to make sure that everything's operating properly. If we don't have proper pressure in the booth, then it's just not going to perform, and it's going to show through the paint jobs, and it's going to reveal itself.
So is there a monitoring system on the filtration system that says it's time to change the filters, or you're just going by the actual circulation? If there's monitoring systems on it.
That's kind of, it's kind of one and the same, is that if you see the pressure start to change in it, you know that there's something either wrong with the intake or that you need to.
So it's just based on the ambient pressure
Correct.
that conforms into the
You're
booth?
just not going to move any air.
Is there a safety on the system that would shut the system down if it was clogged or of that nature?
Correct, yeah. I mean, there's fire suppression on the booth. In addition to any fire suppression that may be in the building, the booth has its own suppression, and it won't start up if a door is open. It has different safety mechanisms like that too.
Disposable of the waste, how often are you guys gonna be maintaining that and?
That's a regular contract with a proper waste disposal company, typically Safety Clean is who we use from a Driven Brand standpoint.
Now, is that all gonna be stored within side? Is that gonna be outside?
Inside.
Inside. Is there anything stored outside on this property?
There should not be. If we find it, that'll be a different conversation.
So no hazardous waste outside. How about outside storage for vehicles?
Right.
Really? Okay, that's not you.
So yes, there is an area on the property specifically for the outdoor storage of vehicles, and that's one of the, again, the improvements. Again, you see the pictures now of the parking on the site. If I may, that area is here. So these 8 spaces here, behind a secure fence, are for the overnight storage of vehicles. The rest is for employee and customer parking.
How about hours of operation?
Typically 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and 9 to noon, typically like in the morning and on Saturday, but there's not much production happening as far as vehicles being worked on. It's more just customers dropping off and picking up vehicles.
And closed Sunday.
Closed Sunday.
How many employees will you have at site on a daily basis?
I mean, you probably, in the 6 to 8 range.
Facility this size, yeah, 6 to 8.
And is there like a foreman of this location, a manager of some sort, somebody of authority that's gonna be present on site?
Yeah, so Manesia will be hiring a director of operations for this particular site, correct?
The board's reference, one of the requested variances is to allow the outdoor storage of 8 vehicles as per the site plan.
Already incorporated.
That's included with this application, yes.
Dumpster on the property, where is that gonna be located?
Yeah, I got it.
Is that
We
on
got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Southeast?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Safety Clean picks up all the contaminated paints and thinners and everything.
Correct.
Okay.
Is this a franchise? Not that it-
It's a franchise location, yes. It'll be owned and operated by Manesia.
Made up of 400 people, just like.
You have 400 franchisees.
Correct, yeah, everything is individual.
Everything, the whole company's franchise? Mako? Mako, the whole company's franchise?
Franchise, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, for the record, can we just get the spelling of Tyson's last name?
D-I-S-B-E-N-N-E-T-T.
Thank you.
And you said all the vehicles, everything on this site's gonna be gone? Everything is
Correct.
getting off this site?
Correct.
Cars?
No sales of cars anymore?
No sales of cars, correct. It's not part of the operation, it's not part of our application.
No, it's just, some of those pictures are like, there's a lot.
Are there any other current locations on now?
Not owned and operated by Manesia, so I couldn't speak for any other location.
Owned and operated by Mako?
Other franchisees, yes, but not this applicant.
What's close by here is a Mako close by. But I need you to come back to the microphone. I need you to come back to the microphone.
Massapequa and Hempstead.
Massapequa?
And
Where
Hempstead.
in Massapequa?
I had it before. I'll come back with the address. Yeah. I can give
Through
the address.
Massapequa every day, so I'm just
Okay.
curious.
Some nice.
I thought there was one in Amityville.
Okay. You guys have anything else? or-
Just one, who does your training? Who trains the mechanics?
So if you look at, that's what's nice about.
Come to the mic.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
that's one of the benefits of what we do. We have a few skilled
Summertime.
positions. You figure the painter, we're going to look for a skilled position there. We're going to look for a skilled painter. And then the body techs are skilled. But the nature of what we do, we're able to provide opportunities to folks that just want to learn. We can teach someone how to sand a vehicle. We can teach someone how to tape a vehicle. We can teach someone how to detail a vehicle. And then they work their way up to the skilled positions, whether it be a body tech or a painter. That said, someone with Manesia, when she comes in, she'll come to Charlotte for a 3-week training class with our corporate training team, along with our manager, likely. And then after that, we'll be on site with her for at least 3 to 4 weeks as she gets.
Back on her current site, you're saying, or? Okay.
I'm sorry, my question was more directed at safety training, any kind of OSHA classes or anything like that you guys require?
Right, so through the team safety, they provide any OSHA updates as far as that goes, as well as our paint vendors. We partner with 3 of the largest paint vendors in the country, Exalta, PPG, and Sherwin-Williams. So when you figure it's in the packet that from team safety, but any 6H training, that's, any respiratory training, anything like that, we rely on as well, the partnership with our paint vendors to pass along that training as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
At this time, no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, anybody like to be heard on this application? One at a time. Come on up.
Okay.
Name and address for the record, please.
Ray Jensen, 27 Lenox Street, Lindenhurst, New York.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, what would you like to tell us? Or ask us?
I'm sorry.
What would you like to tell us?
I only heard about this at 6:30. I felt compelled to come up and try to give you a little insight to what kind of service Dave provides. It's a mom and pop type of shop that he has a very personal relationship with all of his customers, knows most of them by name. I can't see displacing a local business with someone from North Carolina, a corporation. You're hurting the small guys by allowing things like this. Not only this, Hassel's Auto Body, which you probably all know, Professionals. We have 1,000 auto body shops in town of Babylon. Everybody's going to get hurt. And you say it's going to be cleaner, it's going to be this and filter that. There's no way to work on a car and be clean. This guy provides a service that I've seen a million times. You walk in there, his phone rings. Oh, my daughter's stuck up on Straight Path in 109. He hopped in his car, left someone else in charge, and has that personal touch to go make sure everybody's taken care of. Everybody's, if they're short on money, come back and pay me later. He's one of the outstanding businesses and gentlemen in this town of Babylon. Again, I didn't have a suit. I only heard about it 15 minutes ago. I don't have any fancy presentations or anything, but I felt the need to come up and tell you the other side of reality, really. You could say what you want. It's a clean business. We'll clean it up. We'll have flowers. We'll have pink uniforms and no doors and all this stuff. It's not a reality. Auto body, auto mechanics is the dirty business. But what you get besides that with Dave is a personal touch, a commitment, guaranteed work. I mean, I'm sure Mako has guaranteed work, but they're not going to know everybody's name. They're not going to jump in their car and go help somebody. It's not an easy business to be in. And town of Babylon will be hurt. Besides just these two businesses, I don't even know the other ones. The companies that I've mentioned, you probably all know Hassel Auto Body, Professional, and a dozen more that I can't think of their names off the top of my head. But, there's no reason to hurt the mom and pop shops for something new and shiny. It'd be new and shiny for a week. Ray Jensen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to get that's exactly what I'm going to do. Hold it up for a second. I'm going to ask Mr. Weber to come back up here for a second because I need an answer to this question. Sure. So did the current owners sell the shop, sell the opera? How do you guys have it?
Manisha is in contract to purchase the property from the current property owner.
So he's selling his property?
He's selling his property.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. And Manisha is local to Long Island as well.
Okay, I just want to know if he was selling his property. Go ahead. Wait a minute.
And the tenant has an existing lease, or he doesn't have a lease, or are they in negotiations with the existing tenant?
So Manisha's going to own the property, and then she will operate the Mako through a franchise agreement with Mako.
I understand that, but there's an existing tenant in that building that's going to be knocked down.
I can't speak to that. I don't represent the property owner.
No, there's no yelling out like that. We don't operate like that here.
Okay, so we don't have any answers as far as that existing building that's going to be knocked down and a tenant in that existing building that's operating a business right now?
Correct, but I'm not respectfully sure how that impacts the license for the public garage and the variances.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, who else would like to be heard on this application? I'll take the lady right there.
Hi, my name is Dawn Banks. I live at 21 Rogers Street in Blue Point, New York.
Hey, just got to slow. Do
Okay,
we
I'm
get that?
sorry. My first,
Hold on a second. Do we get the name?
Dawn Banks. 21 Rogers Street in Blue Point, 11715, 11, I don't know,
And do
115.
you affirm to tell the truth?
Oh, 100%. Good.
What would you like to tell us?
Okay, first, I want to thank all of you because I understand what an awesome responsibility this is because this is not my first zoning meeting. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand up here and speak before you because I understand that your job is to maintain a balance between development and, responsible development. Okay, as far as I was led to believe, I'm a part owner of Dave Banks Auto Services, and I was not informed of this until April 10th by way of a text message. And when I asked my landlord what it was a photograph of the sign posted on a tree. His exact response was, it is what it looks like, a notice of public hearing, and that's all I was told. I later found out that I believe, is it Mako? Was going to be attempting to buy the property or whatever it is. Okay, so aside from that, I've been battling hacking since that time, and as you know how debilitating that could be. I have been advocating for improvements, but also I'd like to point out that should this deal fall through, I am 58 years old, and I will no longer have an income because my husband and I were in the process of separating. And also, this will not be the first time that I will possibly be rendered homeless. I was homeless when I was 10, and again 13 when my father went to go work for Mako, and he abandoned us and never gave my mother a penny of child support. So if you can, please, if this happens, can I please have a job? That's what I'd like to say. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm concerned because, I have attention deficit disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So there's like 2 seconds I could be on the floor passed out. So I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience. But we have been looking out for our customers all these years. We've also been forced to relocate several times. I have a daughter who's a leukemia survivor, who's a miracle. I was actually held against my will at one of our former locations, one of the reasons why I have PTSD. I was actually sexually assaulted. I am trying to, I have my future, but I also have all my customers and all stuff. So I would just like to say I understand that, you want to improve the neighborhood, but it's also going to cause a lot of hardship for a lot of people, including me directly. So thank you. I hope that however it works out for the best for everybody. I just don't think it's exactly right that I was informed by a text message in April.
Your landlord didn't inform you that
Nope.
he was selling?
I was never informed of any of it. And the only response I was also hacked by him. Hacked by him on April 10th by way of a text message. He sent me a text message. When I responded, I was automatically added to some mailing list. And when I confronted him, because you weren't added to a mailing list, I said, I don't know that. The only word I have is that of a hacker. So I don't, my hands are tied. I'm at the mercy of your company and you guys.
You have an existing lease with the...
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't informed until our last lease was about to expire that we had no lease. And then supposedly they signed an emergency lease. So they currently have a lease at the moment.
For a period of how long?
I think a year. Yeah, I kind of feel like I was tag teamed. That's how I feel. I'm sorry. Thank you. If you have any other questions.
Terminal lease. It's an extension. The lease you have now is an emergency extension of the lease?
I have never seen any lease as long as we've been in business.
You have never seen a lease?
No, I've never had any say in it.
Okay.
So if my husband might have a copy.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Do we have Mr. Weber? Yeah.
Do we have the property owner representative here? Our property owner representative here?
Yes. Mr. Kane, my name is David Roth. I was intending to speak, but I wanted to wait for all of the
I think we need you to
neighbors,
speak
but
now,
I would
because
like
I think
to
we need to
address,
sort this out. I'm
since
somewhat,
the question came up, my name is David Roth. I'm an attorney. And I'll give my card. I'm also a principal of the owner. The owner was originally my father, who developed this property many years ago. Property was originally developed as auto repair shops. The property that Dave Banks currently occupies was originally developed to be a Meineke muffler, which was a franchised operation, and the property to the west of that, adjacent, was originally developed to be a King Bear auto repair shop, which was also a franchised operation. And my father enjoyed ownership of those properties. They were very well maintained while they were owned and operated by repair shops that were franchised, because I think the franchise aspect of these businesses provides another layer of protection, because the franchisor is always very concerned about protecting their brand, as this gentleman mentioned. But I wanted to address these concerns and questions about the leases. When the franchise operations went down and there was a search for some new tenants, we had a new tenant in before Mr. Banks. He was there for a while, not a franchised operation, really ran the building down. It was very difficult to be an owner with that type of a tenant. But Mr. Banks has been a good tenant all along, and so is the tenant to the west, is Elite Auto Repair. But both of those tenants, when they entered, I personally was involved in negotiating and drew the leases. They were both given short-term leases. They were tough negotiations. They didn't want to pay anything close to the rents that the franchised operations had previously been paying. So they both entered their new leases for these properties on significantly lower rent terms, because we were looking to fill the space. They were being vacant. And we told them at the front end, when they entered the property, that we would be looking to redevelop at some point in time. And the leases were negotiated with provisions that provided that the owner and the landlord had the right to terminate the leases upon 6 months' notice or some comparable period of notice. I don't have the leases in front of me, but it's approximately 6 months. And they would get time to relocate, and they would get a rent concession during that period of time. So I purposely came tonight because they both appeared. I heard Dawn, who I have met, Mr. Banks, I don't know if they're still married. She indicated they were separated, but Mr. Banks was present at the planning board hearing. So too was the neighbor, Sal from Elite was there. They both knew about the application. They've both been informed about the fact that the property was for sale. They both had opportunities to buy the property, and we ended up making a contract with Ms. Parand. She's committed herself a lot of money to redevelop and improve the property. There's no question from a zoning perspective that the capital that will go into this site is a lot more than just putting a temporary polish on the site. The sites have been neglected. The tenants have the responsibility under the leases to maintain it. They do the best they can, but they just don't have the ability and the wherewithal to put in drainage, maintain the parking lots as best. And if Ms. Paran buys the property, all of that will be new, and the site will be dramatically improved. But this business, when they came to the planning board and they said, we didn't have notice, we didn't know we'd have to move, they have a lot of loyal customers from the neighborhood, and that's great because, and that's to their, you know, to their credit, that they're good businessmen. But they entered into the site, entered into the leases, knowing that a time would come when we'd be looking to sell the property and they'd be asked to move. That's what the lease says.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on the application? I'll take the gentleman, I seen your hand go up first.
Howard Nygren, 19 45th Street, Lindenhurst.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Nygren.
Just want to make sure they're getting this.
No problem.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
First off, could we have this turned around?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, I was.
everybody back here would like to see that. I live on 45th Street. I use Dave as my mechanic. Dave has been a great mechanic for me since he's been there. I'm very happy with his service. He does the best he can, like the lawyer or the owner of the property said, about keeping it clean. The cars from his shop aren't racing down my street like the trucks that don't go down Wellwood Avenue at 6 o'clock in the morning and drive down. So my question to the applicants here is when the deliveries are coming in, trucks are taking the shortcuts now down 45th Street, and I don't have young children anymore. I had a fight to get stop signs on that street on the corner of Albany and that, and I have trucks going through the stop signs at 6 in the morning because they don't want to go off Wellwood Avenue. Now I'm going to put in a big Mako who's going to have trailers bringing their stuff in, people not knowing where they're going, driving through the neighborhood. What's my safe haven now with this? I'm happy with the service that we have on the corner. I'm looking to you to make it safe if you're going to put them in, but I trust what Dave
Just
does now.
understand one thing, it's not up to us to
Oh,
put them
I
in
know,
or put
I
them
know,
in.
I
This
know.
is a business deal.
Yeah, I know.
And we're just approving the variances.
Okay, I'm sorry I said it that way. But all I'm looking for is what's the safety of 45th and 44th Street? I've lived there for over 28 years. I had to come to the board way back, the zoning board, to get stop signs put on Albany Avenue when my children were little, and I was blessed that they put it there.
The current site has curb cuts on 45th right now. Those are going to be eliminated, so there's going to be no curb cuts, which means there's going to be no traffic off this site going onto your block. It's going to enter onto Sunrise. What makes them stop and make a right? Can't tell you that, but there is no traffic coming off this site onto your block.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The trucks already stopped right on Sunrise Highway just to stop.
You had your turn. Would anyone else like to be heard on the application? Take the gentleman right here. I've seen him first.
How are you? Yeah, my name is Frank Gillardino. I live on Monroe Avenue over here. I just want to make a couple of points and comments.
Your address, please?
You need your address.
Spell that last name.
760 North Monroe Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York.
Spell the last name, please.
Gillardino.
Affirm to tell the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, I've known Dave for about 15 years. He's been my mechanic. He's an excellent mechanic, very fair person. This is like the third time he's moved. There's always somebody else that comes in and moves him. This is his third spot. Now, what I don't understand is a business wants to come in here in an area that already has a business, which says to me you don't really care about people or livelihoods, okay? Now, why doesn't Mako, or anybody else for that matter, go into an industrial park? Why don't they go into an open area? You know there's a business already there, so you think nothing of throwing them out and putting these people unemployed. Why can't you find an area that's open where you can have a business? That's how I think. Now, if I can make one more comment, and this goes back a few years ago, is that in the 1950s, when they was making the Cross Bronx Expressway, Robert Moses came in, okay, and he decided that he was going to build the Cross Bronx Expressway to go to the bridge to alleviate traffic. Now, we all know where that happened. My point being is that he thought nothing of taking these people with these businesses, churches, businesses, schools, and putting them on the street. And he gave them 90 days to get out, to build a parkway which was going to alleviate traffic. So my point being is, how much do you really care about people and what they do? He's got a small business. He supports people. You thought nothing of throwing him out. Get an open area that a business could go in. Go into an industrial park. Do we need Mako in this area or anybody else for that matter? He's a businessman that's been fair to people for 15 years, and his parents had it before he did. I don't know a fairer, kinder man than him. But to me, if I'm coming in looking for a business, if I'm running it, I'm not going into an area that has a business already. I'm going to go to an area that's open or an area I can go into. And that's all I really want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard? I'll take, you next. Yeah, you can go first, then he'll go. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Huma Willis, 110 44th Street. So I'm actually directly behind and directly adjacent to both businesses.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, who'd like to tell us?
I just want to say that, for starters, my issue isn't so much of that it's a commercial area. I get that this is what it is. This is what's there. I don't think that just because somebody has a lot of money and they decide to make pretty sidewalks and flowers and things like that, that's a reason enough for these businesses to be booted out. I have issues with the whole paint, the chemicals, the hazards of it. Best practices, I'm sorry, isn't enough for me to bet my 6-year-old who is severely asthmatic's life on, or my spouse who is battling esophageal stage 4 cancer. So these are health and safety concerns for me, and just to have something look pretty isn't more important than like your family and their health. And for my kid to be in the backyard running around freely playing with his puppy that I have too, like this is like a residential area. I've driven by the other Mako that is in Massapequa on Hicksville Road. It is nowhere near a residential area. It is in a commercial area with where it's not affecting people, their homes, their property value, because no one is going to tell me that you can't smell that paint. I've walked to auto paint places to see if it is something that I can actually smell. So when it's in my backyard, or God forbid at 3 a.m. there's a fire going on, who's going to guarantee that I'm going to be okay, that my home, my child's safe haven, his safety nest is going to be okay? They can't guarantee that. Nobody can. And I don't think it's worth the risk just to have something that looks aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I have a lot of concerns with the safety and the health, and I don't feel like 3-week trainings and best practices are really gonna make me at ease with what's going on. And I mean, if this was your home and these were your kids in your backyard, how would you feel about that being right behind you or right next to you? You know, it's not okay. It does not belong there. Go to 109, go to other areas where those places belong, but painting, those type of chemicals, I've researched what they do to people, to their bodies, to their lungs, to their skin. That is not okay. That's not safe, and I'm not willing to bet my son's life on that. So thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Kai Han Kriyaman, 37 44th Street, Lindenhurst, New York.
Okay, you got to spell your last name, please.
Kiryaman.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
You guys got it? Lorraine, you got it? Okay. What would you like to tell us?
Good evening once again. I was here earlier in the year as well. I have been a resident of Lindenhurst for almost 7 years. My address, like I stated, is 37 44th Street. I'm also the tenant at 21 West Sunrise Highway. I'm the owner of Elite Motorsports. My business has been located in this location for about 1 year now. We were in the town of Babylon on Route 109 for about 12 years, since 2011. We're all here tonight regarding the destruction of 2 existing established and privately owned businesses and buildings to replace it with a nationally owned paint shop operation. I would like to go over a list of harmful things and disturbances a paint shop will bring to the area. The gentleman stated before that the current places were existing paint shops. That is not correct. They are currently repair shops. So I'd like to get that across to make sure that they're not replacing existing paint booths or paint shops. I was under the impression that there will be no more spray booth permits given in the town of Babylon. Exposure to toxic chemicals such as solvents, paint fumes, particle pollution, volatile organic compounds which can contribute to health issues to employees, customers, and the surrounding neighborhood are my concerns. Ground pollution. These are chemicals that need to go somewhere. Most of it will end up in the ground, polluting the local water we drink, and can also damage vegetation, ecosystems, with harm to pets and children in the area. Flammable liquids and gases are often used in the painting process, and a fire in the shop could pose a serious threat to surrounding houses. Noise pollution, metal hammering, sounds of saws cutting metal, and grinding, just to name a few, will create noise disturbance. I would also like to mention visually unpleasant sight of accident cars that are damaged, taken all apart, leaking fluids, will be clearly visible from Sunrise Highway and adjacent houses. Do we know how many employees a proposed facility will need to employ? This will cause more traffic and parking issues for assuming 20+ employees instead of 6. I currently have about 4 employees, and the parking that we have currently is way more than 14 spots that is being proposed. Finally, property values will drop being next to a paint shop. Me being a resident, do not want that, nor do many others tonight. In conclusion, Elite Motorsports and Dave Banks Automotive are both established and model businesses operating in the town of Babylon for over 30 years. This proposal will shut down both. We have made multiple offers to buy properties individually and are against the town combining them. The owner stated he would only sell them both together. We do not plan on moving, and we plan on staying at our current location long term. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Name and address is Joe, last name Leo, 172 42nd Street, Lindenhurst, just basically 3 blocks south of where the proposed site is going to take place.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, yep. Told you the truth so far, my name and address, so I'm going to continue that streak. So, I mean, it sounds like it's cut and dry from a lease perspective. I think we kind of all understand that, and I think what you're hearing from the people here is really speaking from their heart about who Dave is and what he brings to the community. And I think that needs to be weighted to some degree when we think about what the impact is to folks who can't afford to repair their cars, where a guy like Dave basically puts it on the line for people every day, right? And I understand that doesn't play into the fundamental element of somebody selling a property. It's well within their rights to do so. But I guess it's within the town's rights here to understand what the impact would be both environmentally, both what it would mean to the community in and of itself. Whether that's future provisions for people like Dave, who would have maybe better covenants built into leases that would be given, or combined with whatever authority the town of Babylon could provide. Or maybe weighed against the fact that maybe 15, 20 years ago, Johnny Micah exploded maybe not even 500 yards from the site, knocked out windows and everything else, and wreaked some kind of havoc. And whenever there's volatile components being sprayed, along with voltages, high voltages of the like, you increase the potential for danger to the surrounding areas, in addition to whatever environmental impacts, in addition to whatever human impact could be result over long periods of time in terms of asthma and the related. So my thing is just compassion for somebody who, you see the amount of people here, they're not, and I'm sure these are nice folks too, and they want to build a business, but the majority of these people here are for Dave, for the little guy, for the underdog, somebody that brings value to the community, somebody that's helped people when they're down. And even if nothing comes of it, you should just hear about that and know who that guy is and what he's done for this community.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Name and address for the record, please.
Stephen Comins, K-O-M-I-N-S, 582 Center Chicot, C-H-I-C-O-T Avenue, West Islip.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
What would you like to tell us?
I'm only speaking on behalf of being a customer. Not familiar with all the needs of the parties involved, but as a person who has dealt with Dave for probably 35 years, 3 locations, maybe 4, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But whenever he had a problem, he was there. He constantly had his associate pick you up if you simply had your car to be left there. Maybe repairs were more than anticipated. He would always take you home. The person there was available. That's a very big, important thing for me, and I think a lot of others. And he's always been fair with pricing, and just been a wonderful person to deal with. And I would feel a horrible loss without him. And that's all I'd like to say, and I thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to be heard? I'll take the lady. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Kelly Watson, 35 4th Street, North Lindenhurst, New York, 11757. I've been a resident.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
What would you like to tell us?
I've been a resident of Lindenhurst for about 32 years now, same home. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak in regards to approving or not approving the rezoning of 19 West Sunrise Highway, currently known as Dave Banks Auto. I can assure and attest that Dave Banks has been a staple in the Lindenhurst community for 30-plus years. His dedication to his customers go above and beyond, as everyone else has said. And I myself have found out about this meeting today at 12:45 p.m. I am kind of well-known in Lindenhurst community, and I did post about it to try and get as many people here to back up Dave Banks as much as possible, because he is one of the most genuine people that I know. His dedication to his customers go above and beyond. I've never met more of a reliable, fair, and honest business owner. He has helped thousands, if not more, people in our community. My main issue with the rezoning of the property, which is, as we know, in a residential area, is the issue of having a Mako paint shop using harsh chemicals such as spray paint, clear coat, Bondo chemicals, next to the residential area of our residents and children to be breathing in. The air quality is bad enough, as we can see from the fires in Canada. We don't need these extra chemicals wafting from a body shop next to homes. So I just ask that you please take into deep consideration of denying this variance for rezoning this property, as it would be a great inconvenience to our community, as well as Dave Banks and all of his employees. Also, just to add, as well as a stand-up person he has always been to me and my family for the past 10 years. He does know and care that I have 2 children, and whenever something happens, like everyone else has said, if something goes wrong, he has employees to come and pick you up anytime, even if it's an emergency or not. And the turnaround time of him fixing my vehicle to make sure I get my 2 children to where they need to go is next day. He takes that into consideration for me personally. And I have, like I said, just found out about this at 12:45 p.m. And I know that there's about 20 to 30 people standing, or sitting rather, behind me, backing up Dave Banks for our community in Lindenhurst. And I just wanted to take the time and thank you all for listening to what I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard? Come on up. No, there's the lady behind you.
I'm Jane Jakowski, that's Chodkowski. I have lived in my house all my life.
Your address.
I have seen Dave's be a gas station. I grew up in that gas station. I've seen it be a repair place. I see King Bear was a real estate place before it came King Bear, and now whatever it is. Dave makes sure the cars are off that street, where Mighty Key never did. And now you want to put Mako there to poison the air. I'm sorry. You're going to poison the neighborhood. We have a beautiful neighborhood, and you want to put something that belongs in the industrial area in a neighborhood. I don't understand why. Why do they have to be in here? They saying, oh, we're going to make it beautiful. How are you going to make it beautiful? To me, you're going to destroy the neighborhood. You're going to take away 45th Street. I'm going to have all these bang-up cars in front of my house again? When it was Mighty Key? No, I don't want it. Dave makes sure the cars are gone within 30 minutes in front of my house. I come home, I drive a school bus. I come home, I don't have to worry about where I'm going to park the school bus to go to my next job, to change my clothes, to go to my next job. They're going to be dumped. No, you're not making it beautiful. You're destroying the neighborhood. I'm sorry, you are. You poison the air, you poison the water. We don't want it here. We don't want it. I'm sorry.
All right, before you go, I need your address.
I'm sorry, 111 45th Street. I live right back. I live in my backyard. I don't want to smell the fumes of paint. And that's, I don't care what they say, that's what you're going to smell. You go any place else where they're working on cars, that the minute you drop off your car to be worked on, that's all you smell. It's paint. We have bad air now with all these fires. We're going to add the fires and then paint fumes. You're going to kill people. You're just going to kill people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Robert Probst, Probst, 188 42nd Street, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757.
Confirm to tell the truth?
I do.
What would you like to tell us?
I live 3 blocks away. I walk my dog by the property all the time. I don't want to smell the chemicals. I don't want my kids smelling it. You know, these gentlemen are saying that it's up to the tenant's responsibility to take care of the property. Dave moved from a spot on Montauk Highway, put so much money into his business there. Then he moved here, he's getting kicked out again. I mean, how much money does the guy have to put into a property to maintain it? I think it's unfair that the owner is asking the tenants to make it beautiful when the property's been paid off probably. He's been there 50 years since the original owner. There's a spot directly across from the property now that's vacant and available. You got Kmart on Montauk Highway that's available for 5, 10 years, whatever it is. National Wholesale Liquidators. These are all commercial properties that are available for tenants. I don't understand why they got to kick out people that are already in the business, that he fixes everybody's car in the neighborhood and is a stand-up guy, and yet people are asking him to maintain the property that it doesn't look as good as it did 50 years ago. The guy spent all his money on Montauk Highway putting it into his business, got kicked out, and then you're asking him to do the same thing again when the lease states that he can be terminated at any point for 6 months. So I don't understand about people saying how the property doesn't look as good. And we can get a GoFundMe right now, and they'll pay for the sidewalk to get fixed on 45th and shut the access off if that's what it takes to keep them there. I guarantee you all these any businesses and these PTA moms and everybody else that gets their car fixed there will gladly pay to have that access removed if that's what it takes. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
Hello, my name is Robert Bowen, 407 Venetian Boulevard, Lindenhurst. I've been a resident of town of Alma for 65 years. The gentleman from...
Hold on one second. We got it? Okay.
The gentleman
Do you
from
affirm to
Charlotte
tell the
brought up
truth and talk to us?
the message of trust.
You
I
have to
trust
talk to
Dave
us.
Banks, and he's an asset to the town of Babylon. I think the town of Babylon should keep him. Do what they can to keep him anyways. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
Hi, my name is Jean Leo, 172 42nd Street, Lindenhurst, New York, around the block as well. I'm going to be short too, but he just inspired me. Sorry. Leo, L-E-O. What I want to say is, I feel, yes, truth. This is more about who helps us as honestly as Dave does. I have never found a better mechanic in my entire life. He really cares about you, and he has actually ratted on my son while he was zooming up on Montauk Highway. He was like, hey, your son's driving a little too fast. Like, he cares. He's all about caring. He's lovely. That's it. That's all. That's all. I just hope that you come to the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I've seen, you had a turn, you can't go again. The gentleman behind you. Name and address for the record.
David Banks, 2 Whalers Cove, Babylon, New York. Thank you. I'm a little nervous being up here.
Tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Would you like
Usually
to
I have a
tell us?
guitar in my hand when I'm in front of people. It's a little strange. But I'm a very proud business owner in Lindenhurst for 33 years. I really love my customers. I love what I do. I would love to remain where I am if somehow or other I could work out a lease. I realize my lease does have like this 6-month get-out clause, which I'm not happy with, but I got moved around. I didn't have much of a choice. I really needed to go somewhere. I have a lot of customers that rely on me. It's not about the money. It's just something I love to do. And I am concerned about the impact on the neighborhood with the chemicals and things like that. And I'm afraid for my neighbors because I have a very close relationship with the neighbors that are close by. I mean, I love where I am. I really don't want to move. I wish something could be worked out so I don't have to move. I'm going to be 66 years old in December. I don't want to pick up and start going somewhere else trying to put lifts and things. It's too much on me. I'm all set up. I spent everything I had to get this building into operation. I'm not rich. I just would really like to stay here if there was any way possible and maintain what I have in this community. I love it here. I really do. I don't want to leave. I don't want to retire. I want to work. I would like to sign a longer-term lease if I can stay and I can, fix the property and work that out somehow, to make it look more appealing. I have tried to clean it up. So that's pretty much all I have to say, and thank you for hearing me. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Seeing another hand up someplace? Ma'am? Name and address for the record, please.
Esperanza Garcia, E-S-P-E-R-A-N-C-A.
Yeah, hold on. She's got it.
Oh, E-S-P-E-R-A-N-C-A, 108 44th Street.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes,
What would you like to tell us?
I am very close, almost behind the body shop, and I have 2 kids, and one of them is special need, and I am concerned about the chemical and the damage that they can do to my son's health. I do not agree a paint shop being right in the backyard where my kids play, and especially one that is special need. Please consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Lesniak, L-E-S-N-I-A-K, and I live at 125 44th Street. So I am directly across the entrance, the main entrance, I guess.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do. Sorry.
That's okay.
So my biggest concern is the traffic, the fumes, and obviously more healthcare related. I looked into the 4 locations that are in New York. Our 4 locations are in industrial area. They're not clean and nice as they're being described today. They're really just small shops, but they're all in, there's one in Queens, there's two in Long Island, and there's another one somewhere, I can't remember the address. But they're all in industrial areas. There's none that are close to the houses or even directly across from a house. So my son has asthma, my mother is 71. For us, it's more so that we're concerned healthcare related issues, and then how much is it gonna really impact later when my mom decides to sell the house, and how it's going to impact the value of the house. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Larkin, 272 36th Street in Lindenhurst.
Larkin. And I'd
Tell
like
the
to
truth.
point out that my lovely wife is here, and she grew up in Lindenhurst. So, for 45 years, I was a safety and environmental health consultant in the insurance industry. And not to throw rocks at Mako, but body shops were not considered the most desirable piece of business from an insurance standpoint. I heard the statement about it would be the responsibility of the tenants to maintain the property in a neat and, orderly fashion. There's the question of the spray booths, the filters they put in them, the sprinkler systems. Do they bag the automatic sprinkler heads? Do they even have them? Failure to do that could cause a fire, and the products of decomposition from a paint shop are really not a good thing to see or have happen in Lindenhurst. My wife and I went to another mechanic for years, and guess what? The owner of his property sold it, and he was put out. So we asked around a few people, and it was unanimous. Dave Banks is the guy you want to go to. And in the 2-3 years we've been going to him now, I've been nothing less than ecstatic with the service and the friendly demeanor of Mr. Banks. I think, how high is the stack going to be? The people that are in the immediate area, the stack effluent, is it going to be high enough so that it's dispersed in a wide pattern and doesn't smell up the area around it? Not in my experience. And the filters, they often don't get replaced because they're expensive. Environmental controls in any type of operation like that are an expensive proposition. So anything that can be done, from Dave's standpoint, my wife and I fully support him. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Tina Christie, 420 34th Street, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
What would you like to tell us?
I just want to say Dave Banks is a great guy. We have been dealing with Dave for a long time as our mechanic. My husband was a captain in corrections, 32 years on the job. My son also just retired on the job of Rikers. We have brought so many officers out here to go to Dave because he's the most honest guy you want to ever meet. And it's sad that these people are selling the property and can't do anything to help Dave. It's sad to see that little businesses are going out because these businesses are coming in, and I've been on this block for 32 years, on 34th Street, and businesses that are coming in, it's gonna be more traffic with trucks. I live on 34th and Strong's. It's a mess, but we have trucks going down the street. Now with the laundromat the way it is where Dave is, they're gonna be going down that street again on Buffalo, and also where he is, and there's Wellwood Avenue right there also, and it's gonna be a mess. We have traffic there so bad, it's a mess, and it's gonna cause a lot of problems. I have grandchildren that go to school in Lindenhurst, and I don't believe this should come in here. A paint shop should not come in. We don't need this in our town. There's so many sick kids and so many sick people because of these businesses with the spray paints. We don't need this here. Go to an industrial area. This is not fair. We need little people like Dave that support us. We're just getting by. I pay village and town tax, okay? And I pay a lot in taxes, and this is just not fair. We pay a lot. And our roads on Strong's by those trucks, every week we're trying to call here to get somebody to fix it because the village of Lindenhurst don't want to pay for them to pave the road because of all these trucks coming down, and the town of Babylon don't want to pay for it. We're having a problem. Okay, well, it's the village or it's a town, but we're the ones that have to drive on these streets every day, and it's not fair because there's holes, and every day my house shakes because of the trucks hitting those holes. We need to save Dave. If this business owner can do something for Dave, everybody would appreciate it. There's no reason why we need this company coming in. I'm not saying they're a bad company, but I just don't believe they belong in Lindenhurst on that area. I really don't. And thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard? For the record, there are none. Mr. Weber?
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Briefly.
Sure, absolutely. No, and look, all the comments are welcome. I think most specifically, we heard less than half about the paint and the concerns about that, but those are certainly the most substantive, I would believe, for the purposes of this board. Again, this is a property that has been zoned for business. It's been approved by the town as a public garage since 1977. We're not seeking any additional approvals from the town other than variances which are less than what already exist, as well as the same public garage special exception that's been on this property since 1977. Specifically to the paint in those operations, we heard these concerns at the planning board, which is why we submitted the documentation we submitted to the planning board, and which we submitted here tonight, which was the basis for the negative declaration. Because you've asked me to be brief, I previously already read those findings from the negative declaration regarding groundwater and traffic, that there'll be no impacts. Two final points. Three, I'll be very brief. We heard the concerns specifically of the residents most affected, those that live behind it, which is why, as TJ said, we sat around, we looked at the site plan, all of us at a meeting, and said, what could we do? And we said, oh, we can close this garage entrance that faces the residents and move it. So we were able to do that, just having heard from the planning, at the planning meeting about that concern. So we've done what we can. TJ mentioned the closing of the entrances, the orderly nature of the parking. So we've done everything that we can do with working with the town to get the site to look and to function in the future as best as it can. As I said before, in 1997, there were CNRs that are placed on the property. None of them require the compliance that the CNRs that were required by the planning board require today regarding Health Department of the county, the state DEC, EPA, as well as the other regulations that I mentioned previously. They are not in those 1997 CNRs, but they're in the 2023 CNRs that we're agreeing to as consistent with and is required by that planning board approval. So the operation itself will be required to meet standards that the operations on the property now don't need to meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Let me ask one more question. One of the concerns I heard was deliveries.
Yes. Thank you.
Do they have a schedule, or is it proposed?
We heard those concerns, so we'll certainly work with any delivery vendors to make sure that they are taking appropriate routes of access in and out of the property, as well as we are required by the conditions that have been recommended as part of this approval that no deliveries can be, but trucks can be parked on the street. They must be contained on site, which is why we have excess parking available on site.
Yeah.
Do you agree to all the conditions on the planning memo?
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Before everybody goes, I just want to clear up a few things here. We are a zoning board. Many of the things that you asked from us tonight are not applicable. We cannot do that. We're in charge of how it affects the neighborhood, those kinds of things, yes. Dave evidently is a very good mechanic, and a lot of people like him. But we can't say Mako can't have it. We can't say to whoever owns the property, you can't sell the property. That's not within our purview as a zoning board. That's not what we do. Mako is not forcing them out necessarily. It could be somebody else moving in there. It happens to be Mako, and they could also force Dave out. That's not within our purview. We will take everything else you brought up to us as far as health concerns and all of that. We have to take that all into consideration, and that's what we will take into consideration. We cannot get involved in what would be legal transactions of selling property and buying property and who's doing it. Can we say you can't put that business there? Yes, we can say that, but we have to have reasons for saying that also. We can't just helter-skelter do that. You know, a lot of the concerns you brought up, like I say, are valid, and we certainly will take them into consideration, but that's what we can do. So a lot of what you're bringing up about Dave and pushing Dave out, and we have no authority to do anything concerning that. Okay? So I just wanted to clear that up. We listen to everybody, but I want everybody to understand what we can and can't do, and that's not within our purview as far as that goes. That is something that, you know, Dave needs to work out with his landlord or whatever, but that is not our purview, all right? So I appreciate everybody coming down tonight. We will take everything into consideration that you said, and we'll move on from there, all right? Thank you very much.
Please.
We understand that. We heard all of that. Thank you very much for coming down tonight. We appreciate it. Oh, yeah, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
We do have one more application, which I would have wished I remembered, because I would have heard it first.
Where are they? Who are they? They're probably here, just waiting.
Is Barbara Notaro here? Application 23062.
Oh.
Barbara Notaro?
Just so you know, I forgot to mention that too. We got hammered at home, Hurricane Sandy. We got hammered our business, Hurricane Sandy, and my
Hey,
father died walking around with an oxygen.
Excuse me. Please.
Can't. Listen,
Cannot do that.
it's business here.
But you know, I know more. My father walked around with an oxygen. That was his karma.
Sorry.
That was his karma, and you know, maybe they'll give me a job. And that was the lie.
Get up.
Oh, yeah.
This is him.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Good evening.
Somebody needed to give me a high before this application. I would have took you first, sorry.
Hey, we gotta. Hearings are still in effect here. We're still in session, so please consider that. Thank you.
Okay, the next application is 23062 of Barbara Notaro, property located in Amity Harbor. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can you guys step outside so we can just do the last application? These people waited a long time. Next application is 23062 of Barbara Notaro, property located in Amity Harbor. Name and address for the record.
Christopher Ang, 93 Main Street, West Sayville, New York, 11796.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated May 11, 2023, Environmental Control memo dated May 15, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Peter J. Barbizon dated August 8, 2014, tax map acting as an area map, and do you have anything else?
Chairman, we have four photographs in the site plan by Christopher A. Ang.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
We are proposing a two-car garage in the rear property. With this, we are taking two sheds away, 10 by 10 sheds. The property's not a large property, so we don't have much room to move the garage around. The garage is over on the overall lot coverage and also on the rear lot coverage. The placement of the garage is going to encroach on the side yard and the rear yard. The reason for the encroachments is the proximity to the house and the existing deck and pool. I also have aerials of the area, and we highlighted some other garages that we felt were similar to what we're asking for. So I'd like to turn those in.
That's fine. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Dellavecchia.
You guys will be removing those two sheds?
That's correct.
And are they gonna be taking, is the new garage gonna be taking the same footprint?
It's in the same location, but it's actually going to be further off of the rear
Yeah,
yard.
a foot further off the rear?
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
And then about a foot over on the side as well.
On the north side.
That's correct.
What is the space for?
It's going to be for storage, a garage, and it's really just for storage and a vehicle storage. That's it.
Do you guys agree to the conditions that the garage be for storage use only? No habitable space, and no heating or plumbing within the garage?
Absolutely.
Do you agree, I guess you wouldn't be able to, if you ever had to put it in a conforming location?
Yeah,
That's fine. I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Where are they putting this? This is a problem. Oh, the two sheds are coming down.
My name is
Address for the record?
Julio Cianci, and I live at 10 Dawes Avenue. I'm the property to the north.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
Can you repeat your name and
Julio Cianci.
can you spell it also?
Guiliocianci.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
I just have some concerns about how close it is to the property line. I have a disabled child who's an eloper, and I feel that an excavation that close to my fence could undermine it. I also have a dog that could get out if that occurs. I do not have a problem with her putting a garage on the property. I just feel it's a little close to my property and it could cause issues, even with maintenance in the future being right up against the fence. And that's basically it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Also, the sign that's supposed to be posted, it's supposed to be up on the front of the property, correct?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, because it's buried in the bushes. It was very difficult to even know this was going on, because it got
You should've-
postponed
If you live
last
right next
time.
door, you should have gotten a letter.
Well, I got a letter for the first time, and
Then
we
you-
came, and it was
and-
postponed, and I never got a second letter.
You wouldn't get a second letter because at that hearing, we announced the next date that it was adjourned to, so you wouldn't have gotten a second letter.
Well, we came in, and she asked us what we were here for, and she told us that it was adjourned, and we left. So we didn't stay for the entire meeting.
So you knew it was adjourned?
We came here last time,
But
and
did you
she-
know it was adjourned till tonight?
I only found it out the other day.
Okay,
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else like to be heard on this application? Come on up.
My name is Mr. Wanamaker. I live at 16 Dawes Avenue. It's just a house on the south side of the house that's proposed. Wanamaker, as in Wanamaker happy if I could find her. That's how it's spelled.
You still need it to be spelled?
It's actually T, but yeah, yes. Okay, my concerns, but I'm going to preface this by saying that it's fully documented. It's fully documented in the upstairs in the town records, and proof from the United States government that I'm a combined 100% disabled veteran. And the reason I'm saying that is because the board that was in the front, I understand, was in the front of the yard, was tucked inside the bushes. And when I finally found out about it, and the reason I'm saying about that is when I finally found out about it, they said, watch for the board for the rescheduling of the hearing. We were watching out front, and that board also was stuck in the bushes. My concern about that is twofold. I just returned from Cleveland Clinic from reconstruction surgery. I'm due to go back for reconstructive surgery. So I haven't had an adequate amount of time. And at first acknowledgement is to ask for a discontinuance of sorts, to be able to be able to
It
be
was
able.
announced at the previous meeting that it was adjourned till tonight, so
Well, the
if you have
previous
something
meeting-
to say to us, you need to say it
The
now.
previous meeting was not shown that there was because the notice was stuck in
Do
the
you have
bushes.
something in concern with the
Yeah, my
the
concerns are
application?
as follows. This is the second time she's done that. Years ago, when she built the extension on the side of her house, she did the same thing, although I was on active duty overseas. Somebody might have, had I been notified. My immediate concerns about the garage are, the bottom line is, no matter what happens, if they redo the plans, the variances are not going to make a difference, and she'll be able to grow the garage anyway. Nobody wants to take that away from anybody who owns a piece of property, okay? In order to get a car into the second part of the garage, she's going to have to redo the deck. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to get into that because of the shortness of space. You're never going to be able to get into the car in the garage. Due to the fact that and my largest concerns are she recently put up some lightings on the sides of her house, which are not illegal, because as I understand it, it's only illegal if you have cameras that show to the front yard, and in the backyard and the side yards, you can do whatever you want. However, myself and my other neighbors on the north side have those lights that glare directly into our living spaces with cameras. And so my concerns are, if there's going to be lighting on that garage, is it going to be anything that's going to be disturbance to us, the neighbors? And otherwise, those same kinds of types of concerns. Over the years, she has not been what I necessarily would call the best of neighbors. Had she been a best of neighbor and she knocked on a door or send a message saying, I'm going to do this, I would have voiced my concerns to her and we wouldn't be having to have this meeting and she could just go ahead with the variance. So as long as things are met into the future, because she, in my personal opinion, value judgment, there's a habit of doing things that not necessarily would be considered, good neighborly. So therefore, as long as there's certain assurances of certain things that would take place that would not encumber upon the neighbors, I basically speaking, like I said, nobody's going to stop her from building her garage anyway. If she comes within the building code variance, she wouldn't even have to ask for the variance. Not that I have a problem with that, because actually the garage is on their side of the property, not on mine. The extension that she built was on my side of the property.
We're not hearing.
No, I understand that. I'm just telling you, there's a course of action that's been taken in the past. And as long as those concerns about, infringing on the neighbors and being a good neighborly person, that might be a different story.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Is there going to be lighting on the garage?
Lighting?
Yeah, a light on the garage. at all.
Yeah, there will be, but not a spotlight.
Facing out towards the
I think it's just going to be sconces beside the doors, just so she has light to get inside the garage.
No, I'm talking about outside lighting.
I'm saying sconces, meaning that they're wall lights.
Oh, okay.
Wall
Yeah,
Wall
sorry,
sconces.
wall
Gotcha,
sconces,
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
Not
the garage
floodlights.
All right, so they shouldn't be shining.
No big spotlights or anything like that?
Correct, that's correct. I'd like to respond to, I guess, a few of the comments that they
Yeah,
had.
that's fine.
The footings for the garage will not undermine the fence or anything on the adjacent properties. We build these garages, a lot at this proximity to the property lines, and we just don't disturb any of the fences or anything on the adjacent properties. What was the other comments? The second garage door, Barbara is aware that she's not going to be able to get a car in there, but she still wants a garage door on there for just access to get her furniture from the pool into the garage. So she knows that she's only going to be able to use one bay. She's very aware of that.
So the second bay is just for storage only?
That's correct. And I don't remember any of the other concerns, but if there's anything that I can answer, I'd be happy to.
How high is the shed? I mean, the garage?
It's going to be within the town's
15
code,
feet?
so that's correct.
What's-
No,
14?
14 feet, sorry. It'll be
And
within.
actually, it's going to be a foot more off the north side yard than it is now, from what I'm looking at. Am I
It's
right?
going to be a foot, probably a little bit more than a foot than the existing sheds. The existing sheds are a foot closer.
On the
to-
north side yard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you are correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I have no objection as long as it is within the realm of
Okay, yeah, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
We're going to reserve the decision, right?
Yeah. The hearing's closed, the decision's reserved.
You got the decision in the mail, thank you.
All right. Guys, have a good night. Thank you.
Mickey's tired. Yeah, Mickey. Tapped out, Mickey?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that ends the live YouTube streaming of tonight's meeting. We will continue on with the rest of